The following morning, Matthew woke before dawn as usual. He knelt beside the bed, careful not to wake Grace. "Father," he whispered, "strengthen me today. Help me not to doubt you." From the bed, Grace watched him with half-open eyes. Once, his prayers used to comfort her. Now, they irritated her. She wondered how long a man could pray and still remain poor. Matthew prepared to go to the church for morning prayers. Before leaving, he kissed Grace's forehead. "I'll be back soon," she did not respond. As soon as he stepped out, Grace sat up, her heart heavy with resentment. She looked around their room, cracked wall, bare floor, 2 plastic chairs, 1 small cupboard with 3 dresses. She whispered bitterly, 12 years of marriage. And this is all we have. At the market later that day, Grace arranged tomatoes and peppers on her wooden table. The sun was hot. Sweat trickled down her back. A black SUV drove past slowly and stopped nearby. Grace recognized it immediately. Deborah stepped out, perfect makeup, high heels, designer handbag. The women in the market whispered, "That's Pastor Barnabas' wife. She looks like a queen." Deborah walked toward Grace, smiling. "Grace, long time." Grace forced a smile. "Deborah, you look, well," Deborah laughed. "Well?" "My dear, God has been good." She glanced at Grace's stall. "You still selling vegetables?" Grace nodded, embarrassed. Deborah continued talking. "Barnabas just bought me a new house in the city. We're opening another branch in Canada next month." Grace felt something twist inside her. "That's wonderful." Deborah leaned closer. "You know, it's not easy. Ministry requires wisdom." "What kind of wisdom?" Grace asked. Deborah smiled strangely. "Knowing the right spiritual connections," Grace frowned. "What do you mean?" Deborah waved her hand dismissively. "One day I'll explain. But you should tell your husband to come and see Barnabas. He helps serious pastors grow." Grace's heart beat faster. "Does he charge money?" Deborah laughed. "No, he just mentors." The word mentor sounded safe, holy, acceptable. Grace nodded slowly. That night, Matthew returned tired. He had walked long distances, visiting sick members. One old woman had given him 2 yams as appreciation. He placed them on the floor happily. "Grace, look, Mama Esther gave us yams." Grace stared at them. "Yams?" she said coldly. "Matthew, are you not tired of this life?" He paused. "What do you mean?" "Other pastors bring home envelopes. You bring yams?" Matthew sighed. "They gave from their hearts." Grace's voice rose. "And what about our hearts?" "What about our children?" Matthew said nothing. Grace stood up. "Deborah said her husband mentors pastors." Matthew shook his head immediately. "I don't need mentoring. I need God," Grace snapped. "And maybe God is using him to answer your prayers." Matthew looked hurt. "Grace, please," she continued. "How long will we pretend everything is fine? Samuel will soon enter secondary school. With what money?" Matthew rubbed his face. "I don't know, but I trust God." Grace laughed bitterly. "You trust God, but God seems to trust other pastors more?" That night, Grace cried. Not because she hated God, but because she felt forgotten. The next day, she visited Deborah secretly. Deborah welcomed her into a mansion-like house. Air-conditioned, tiled floors, leather chairs. Grace felt small. Deborah served her juice. "Tell me, Grace, how is Matthew?" "He's faithful," Deborah smiled. "Faithfulness alone is not enough in this generation," Grace swallowed. "Then what is enough?" Deborah leaned forward. "There are higher spiritual principles." Grace felt chills. "What kind of principles?" Deborah lowered her voice. "Power principles." Grace's heart raced. "Can Barnabas teach Matthew?" Deborah smiled slowly. "He can, if Matthew is willing to pay the price." "What price?" Deborah stood up. "Not money." Grace went home confused. That night she looked at Matthew differently. Not as a loving husband, not as a faithful servant, but as a man standing between her and a better life. A seed had been planted, and it was already growing.